Hello, I'm Lee Pauser, and in this video I hope to show you how to monitor hanging nest boxes. If you're unfamiliar with a hanging nest box, behind me and above me in the tree is a hanging nest box. So in order to monitor these nest boxes, you're going to have to bring them down, look inside, see what the status is, and then rehang the nest box. Now there's two ways that I'm familiar with in how to do that, and one is to use the Purvis lifter, named after Dick Purvis. Basically it's a box made out of hardware cloth that you slip under the nest box, lift it off the branch, and then similarly to rehang it, you lift it up and hang it on the branch. The other method is using the simple retriever, and the simple retriever is exactly that, very simple, just a hook on the end of a paint roller handle. So let me take the nest box down and we will peek inside to see what's there and give you some tips on how to monitor the nest box. Now, one of the first things I do is I tap the nest box to alert any occupants that something is going to happen. Let's see what's inside. Now, this style of nest box here, I can simply turn the L screw, open the door slightly to peer in, and if all is well, I open the nest box, and in this case here we see 4 bluebird eggs. So knowing that, I close the box up, secure the side door, and then rehang the nest box. Once you rehang the nest box, you should make a visit record. A visit record is basically a record of what your observations were. There's a number of hard copy forms that are available that allow you to do that. NestWatch has an online app. You can enter the information into the app. I'm kind of old school. What I basically have is a Palm Pilot here, which I would make a visit record. All right. So what I have here is a number of different nest boxes. All but one is a hanging nest box, and I want to give you a variety of experiences in how you monitor the boxes. So this is the box that I had taken down earlier. Let me open it up again. And inside we had seen the 4 bluebird eggs. I had already mentioned that I don't make my ladies leave the nest. If the female remains on eggs, I don't make her leave. I simply close the box, and I'll come back next week and see what's in the box. Horsehair and the fishing line and the Easter grass, if you see it, you should lop it up with scissors. Cut it into short pieces. Don't destroy the nest. The eggs, if you may get into a situation where, gee, the eggs have been in the nest box 3 weeks, 4 weeks, they typically would hatch about 14 days after incubation starts. How do I know whether or not the eggs are being incubated? So what I use for that is I have a simple infrared thermometer, which I simply point at the eggs, press the button to shoot the temperature of the eggs, and in this case it's 64 degrees, which is ambient temperature, so the eggs are not being incubated. That may be normal depending upon when the incubation actually starts, but again, after 2, 3, 4 weeks you begin to wonder whether or not they're abandoned. So don't be in a hurry to remove them. You could leave them in maybe for 4 weeks before you finally decide that yes, they are abandoned, and remove the eggs. What I would do in that situation is remove the eggs, leave the nest intact. It may be reused. Once you've concluded that the eggs must be abandoned, what you could do is look at the eggs, take them out of the nest and inspect them. And if you see a small puncture hole in one or more eggs, that could be because of the house wren. The female bluebird, if even one egg just has a tiny peck hole in it, she will abandon the entire clutch. Once the eggs hatch, then you have nestlings, and with nestlings you could have a different set of problems. Like eggs, nestlings sometimes disappear, not necessarily due to predation, but sometimes the nestlings die and the adults are able to remove them if they're small enough. If the nestlings are too large to be removed by the adults, without your intervention, they would stay in the nest and begin decaying, possibly taking the whole clutch down. So that's a really, really good reason why you wanted to monitor nest boxes. Sometimes you can intervene in a problem and make a worst case situation perhaps a little better. So to remove the nestlings, what I carry is a small needle nose pliers. Simply reach in and grab them maybe by the leg and take them out of the box and dispose of them elsewhere. Once the nestlings get old enough, say 14 plus days, then they become a little jumpy and you need to be careful that you don't cause premature fledging. With my style of nest box here, I'm able to open the box even if they're 21 days old, but I do it very, very carefully. When I take the box down, I stick my thumb in the entrance hole to prevent anybody from exiting the box. I crack the side open slightly to peer in and get a beak count. And the reason you might want to do that is because if there's one or more nestlings dead inside of the box, you may want to intervene and remove the nestlings. Okay, moving on, let's check the next nest box. As before, I turn the L screw, carefully open the box, peek in, see whether or not it's safe to continue opening the side. It is in this case, and what we have here is we have a tree swallow nest. Now both tree swallows and violet green swallows finish their nests with feathers, and buried amongst the feathers is a possibility of eggs, possibility of nestlings. So what I do early in the season, when I know there are no eggs in it, I'm going to check for eggs, and one way of doing it is to insert my hand with my pinky, slowly, carefully feel around for eggs. And yes, I can feel eggs. Sometimes later in the season, once the eggs are being incubated, you may stick your finger in amongst the feathers and actually come in contact with the female on eggs. She will stay on eggs, so I basically remove my finger and close the box up and rehang it. Sometimes you'll actually see, if you try to part the feathers to get an egg count, sometimes you will actually see an eye, the eye of the female looking back at you. Again, simply just close the box up and rehang the box. So sticking my pinky into the nest amongst the feathers, what I'm really trying to do is determine first whether or not there are any eggs. And then knowing that I have at least one egg, possibly the next check I will do it a little bit differently. And one way is to pull on the side of the nest a little bit and see if you can get an egg count. Now another way to check for eggs, check for nestlings, is to use a mechanic smear. In this case, this is a lighted mechanic smear. It has batteries to power 2 LED lights, and the yellow switch is the way you turn it on and off. So to use it, you would go in amongst the feathers, push them, and hopefully you can see there are a total of 5 eggs. Alright, so that's using the mechanics mirror. So let's close the box up again, and we will rehang it. Okay, let's see what we have in this nest box. Same situation, turn the L screw, open the side slightly to see what's inside, and if it's safe to open, we peer in. Now this is a house wren nest, the most challenging of all of the nests to get an accurate egg count, nestling count. And this is a situation where you could possibly slip the mechanics mirror into the top of the box and peer down into the nest. The way the nest is constructed is the male fills the cavity pretty much with twigs, short twigs, hundreds of twigs. And the female then decides that, gee, this is a great nest, I'm going to use this nest, and she finishes the cup. But what there is there's a tunnel that leads from the entrance hole down into the twigs, and that's where she lays her eggs, incubates them, and that's where the nestlings are. So the most difficult nest to check. Okay, let me close it up here. What we have here is not a hanging nest box, it is a mounted nest box, but it's top opening, and that's why I wanted to show it to you. Now it could be converted into a hanging nest box, but this one has not yet. So in order to check this nest box, we have a little nail here on the side that needs to be removed, freeze the top, and we're able to lift the top. Now this is the style of nest box that some people like for photography. If they want to take pictures of a nest, they can remove the top and just take a picture straight down. It is also the best nest box if you have house wrens. You'll actually be able to see what's in the nest. Okay, now what we're getting into is the different styles of nest boxes. And this box here I would describe as a front opening, bottom hinge. So we pull a nail out which secures the door, and we open the box this way. And then to secure the door, we reinsert the nail. This box is a side opening, top hinged, and in order to check this box, we turn the L screw slightly and open the side of the box. We're fortunate to be listening to an American kestrel nearby. So the last nest box we're going to be looking at is a nest box that I would describe as a front opening, top hinged nest box. So you pull the nail, lift the box up. This is also the most difficult style to monitor because the depth of the nest determines how easily it can be monitored. Some birds build deep nests, which means that when you're inspecting the nest, the use of the mirror would probably be best. So that's pretty much it. I've talked about visit records in which you record your observations for the visit to the nest box, but I also encourage you to report your seasons data to both the Cavity Nesters Recovery Program and NestWatch. The advantage of NestWatch is that the data goes into a huge database and can be used by researchers from all over the world. So that's my video. I hope that it was informative. I feel that there's many more things I could have talked about, but the video is already long enough. Thank you for your time, and good luck monitoring.